49ers players love their quarterback. They absolutely love Brock Purdy. And we had Christian McCaffrey go on KMBR earlier this morning and basically talk about how Brock Purdy was a huge reason for helping him acclimate to the San Francisco 49ers playbook so quickly. Because as we know, after he got traded to the 49ers from the Panthers, he had like 2 days to get ready for his game against the Kansas City Chiefs. And Christian McCaffrey talks about Brock and how he helped him come along. But not only that, just the overall respect and admiration that this entire team has for Brock Purdy. Listen to what CMC had to say right here.
So you get to the Niners, and the quarterback is Jimmy Garoppolo, right? And then, there's Trey Lance waiting in the wings. There's 0.0 thought given to this babyface kid in the corner, or maybe there is.
At least outside the building, yeah. People weren't thinking about it.
We're thinking about Jimmy and Trey.
Yeah.
And now it's Brock Purdy.
Yeah.
And I'm just kind of, if you could just sum up maybe the evolution of your relationship, like when you got here, how soon it was before you even got to know him. When he came into the huddle in the Miami game, you're like, who's this guy? You know what I mean? I'm joking, obviously, but can you talk about that evolution? And then, man, what this kid's doing in a historic fashion.
Yeah, so when I first got here, obviously, when you get traded, the first thing that's on your mind is you have to learn the playbook. In order to play, you got to learn the plays and try to learn them the best you can, as quick as you can. And so I had a lot of late nights, a lot of early mornings where I was just studying. I was in the meeting rooms. I was with, Coach Turner. I was with Coach Lynn, just doing everything I could to learn as quickly as possible. And one of the things I would do in a lot of the after hours was I would get Brock. Brock was the, practice squad quarterback at the time, the third string quarterback. And we would go walk through out on the turf. And
Nice.
He was, normally, if somebody's asking you to do that, and you have as good of an attitude as he did, I was really appreciative of it. He was like, yeah, no problem. And he's like, yeah, it'll help me too. And we went out there and we would walk through different plays. And so I was familiar just with, I could tell, you could see it in his eyes and in his demeanor that he wanted to be great. He wanted to be here. He knew he belonged here. And, I don't know if it was a couple games later or what, he's their starting quarterback. And, all I had known is the walkthroughs, but even in that moment, I'm like, I don't care or know who's at the quarterback position. I just have to do my job. And that's really what everybody did. It's, whatever the play is called, it doesn't matter who the quarterback is. If you don't get open, it ain't going to work. And if you don't catch the ball, it's not going to work. So for me, it was just a lot of urgency about focusing on, me and my job. And then as time went on, you could just kind of feel the energy pick up around him, because you thought, man, here's a kid who was the last pick in the draft. And, they say you can either prove him right or prove him wrong. And that's somebody that I couldn't be happier for, to continue to prove people wrong. Like you said, man, he's been unbelievable, not just from a play standpoint, but as a leader,
Nice.
as somebody in the locker room who, he knows exactly what his role is. He's on the quieter side, but extremely confident, demanding in the huddle, and he's got a great swagger to him that you definitely want in a quarterback. So it's been a blast getting to play with him.
49ers players have been talking about Brock Purdy like this since last season. Like, this is not new. They talked about him much differently than they talked about other quarterbacks on the roster at the time, and people were having a hard time with it. Even throughout training camp, people were having a hard time with how these players were talking about Brock. They didn't understand it, and they couldn't quantify it because it didn't match what their perceptions was of the quarterbacks at the time. But the 49ers players have been telling us this from the beginning. Fred Warner said this offseason that he knew Brock Purdy had the it factor in practice. Brandon Ayuk went on KMBR earlier this year and said this damn near the same thing, saying that Brock Purdy has the it factor. These guys have the utmost confidence in Brock Purdy. I would say they even have more confidence in Jimmy Garoppolo, and we know how much this locker room likes Jimmy Garoppolo. Every time we hear one of these players talk about Brock Purdy, the praise is effusive. And it's not just about, oh, he's a good guy, he's a good person, we love him. No, they talk about he's that guy when it comes to a competitor, when it comes to a leader, when it comes to going out and executing. The 49ers may have found their franchise quarterback, guys. Like, I gave myself the entire year to determine if Brock is going to be the franchise guy. I knew for a fact he was the starter. but I'm pretty almost crystal clear through 4 games. And of course, as long as he can continue this, the 49ers may have their franchise quarterback, and it might be Brock Purdy. Long season ahead, lots of variables to come, but right now, Brock Purdy is that guy. Do you think Brock Purdy is the franchise quarterback? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, make sure to like and subscribe for more updates.